This morning, we're continuing our discussion on the recent gun violence in Chicago, where more than 100 people were shot over the 4th of July holiday weekend. The number of people killed is now up to 21. Joining me this morning is University of Chicago law professor Sharon Fairley, who is formerly the chief administrator of the Independent Police Review Authority. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Sharon, those numbers from this weekend, they are just downright disturbing. We're talking about 40 more people shot and 10 more people dead compared to the same time last year. So what is your reaction to some of the violence we saw this past weekend?
It's definitely frustrating. It's tragic. It's disappointing. We felt like we had been doing better. The homicides and non-fatal shootings peaked in 2022, coming out of the pandemic. And so we did see some numbers coming down last year in 2023. And so we thought we were making some headway here. But when you have a weekend like that, it just really makes you question, how far we've been able to come in terms of addressing this issue. It's a real challenge for the city and for the police department.
And we often hear thoughts and prayers for the family and our elected leaders. They repeat the message that this is all unacceptable. We ran a poll here on Good Day where over 80% of Chicagoans say that they would like to see harsher penalties. But what do you think can actually be done to reduce the violence we've been seeing?
Yeah, so one of the things that Mayor Johnson talked about was, the need to hold people accountable. Well, the way to do that is to improve the clearance rate for these incidents. And so we still have a lot of way to go for that. Last year, the clearance rate on murders was only 51%, around 52%. And so in order to deter people, they have to feel like they're got a really good shot of getting caught when they do these things. And so that's going to be a key thing that the department really needs to work on. Also, we need to really ramp up our community violence intervention programs. There are a number of these programs that are operating quite successfully in the city, but they don't touch as many people as they need to. And part of that is an issue of funding. And so we need more funding, not only obviously from the city, but also from the community, from businesses, from everyone in the Chicagoland area to be able to scale these programs up. And then, of course, we need to continue to improve police community relations and the legitimacy of policing in Chicago, because that's how police learn from the community about who's involved in these things. If people don't trust the police to solve the crimes, then they're not going to come forward as witnesses. They're not going to provide the intelligence so that the police can really learn what's going on the street. And so there's a number of fronts where we need to continue to push.
And you mentioned funding. Mayor Johnson has said he has reached out to the federal government for more funding. In your opinion, what can that money be used towards?
Yeah, so I would say, like I mentioned, I would imagine a key priority is going to be community violence intervention programming, which I think has operated and shown some success here. And then, there's a number of other fronts where the police department can use additional resources to support communities and building communities. Now, we know that developing communities and dealing with the root causes of violent crime, that's something that the city needs to work on concurrently with policing. So dealing with violent crime isn't just a policing issue. So we need funding to support those programs as well.
And obviously, this is a very complicated issue. Mayor Johnson is launching a program called Cycle Breakers, which is going to focus on Chicago's youth through conflict resolution, mentoring, and mental health services. What kind of impact do you think a program like this can have?
So those programs can have a really important impact on the individuals that are involved. The challenge is to get enough individuals into those programs so that the program can have a bigger scale and a bigger impact. So when they work on an individual level, they can be very, very powerful.
Sharon, thanks so much for your time and for your input on all this violence we've seen here in Chicago over the last weekend.